Jasmine Crockett recently went on the Breakfast Club and she said that she has never heard a Democrat calling for violence, and then had the audacity to say, well, send me the clip. I'm like, Congresswoman Crockett, now you know you're lying, and two, I'm a woman of my word. So today's show, I am going to react to a highlight reel of the left's own harassment cues and violent rhetoric, because when the high priest of hypocrisy, when they pretend that it doesn't exist, chaos ends up getting a permission slip. So we gonna have to roll the tape and talk a whole lot of truth and discuss the hateful and violent rhetoric from the left and how it has brought us precisely to the point that we are today. Let's get into it. Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I'm your host, April Chapman, and welcome to today's show. We've got to talk about Jasmine Crockett's recent appearance on The Breakfast Club. And she talked about how America is spiraling into next level violence, but the assertion is that it's being powered by right-wing rhetoric. And I said, this girl really, she's either woefully deceived or a master manipulator and a liar. I do not believe this woman actually believes anything that's coming out of her mouth. She talked about how Democrats, we denounce violence. And then she actually said that Republicans are the ones that are normalizing the violence. She also talked about how she wanted to challenge anyone to find a clip of Democrats inciting violence.
I can say that your policies are bad. I can say you're a criminal because you have been found guilty of 34 convictions. Like, I can say all these things because they are true. That's not even just free speech. These are just facts. So don't get mad that I speak the truth and I speak facts, but I literally have never said anything to invoke violence. And I challenge somebody to go and find a clip of a Democrat invoking violence.
And I sat there and I watched this woman tell all of these barefaced lies on top of talking about gun policies and, how we need to have background checks and, we should be able to track firearms like we track cars and, we should be restricting access of firearms to the mentally unfit. Now, that part I actually agree. But finally, she also claimed that, HBCUs, they've had 0 school shootings. And so I want to talk a little bit about some of the claims that she made. But first, I got to roll the receipts that she asked for. She asked for the clips. We came prepared. Let's go ahead and roll the clip.
I don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
No, I wish you were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to...
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be? Does one of us have to come out alive?
So let's just go ahead and be honest. these clips weren't hard to find. So many of us, when we were listening to this violent rhetoric happen in real time, we're trying to figure out, we were like, okay, is everyone on the left gotten the same memo and said, let's use a provocative and inflammatory language so that in the end result will be in violent vitriolic attacks against our political opponents? I mean, it was almost like they were sending out a clarion call, because what we've now experienced with the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk, we now find ourselves here. So let's just be honest about what we've actually been experiencing. These are the things that the media just conveniently skips. So what we've seen happen is that just in the past year alone, a shooter opened fired during a mass at a Catholic school that's housed in a church. Children were killed, many more injured, and the authorities identified the suspect as a transgender individual, and they are probing and looking into the anti-Christian hate that was propagated by this individual based on writings on the weapon and social media posts and just ideological rhetoric that came from this individual in general. I'm sorry, there's nothing about what this individual believed and espoused as peaceful. You cannot describe it as peaceful rhetoric. It is absolutely anti-Christian animus, and it has ended in bloodshed. Now, let's rewind back to last year, where we had attempts on President Trump. Sorry, I know y'all tried to make this square peg fit in this round hole, but it just doesn't. Those attempts were carried out by a leftist. They were not carried out by MAGA loyalists. First of all, why would a MAGA loyalist try to assassinate President Trump? Makes no sense. But in Pennsylvania, the shooter who targeted Trump was not a Trump supporter. And in another case, the would-be assassin posted anti-Trump rhetoric and ended up being indicted. Now, here we are today. We have Charlie Kirk's murder. Okay, he was assassinated, and the individual that has been arrested has left anti-fascist themed markings on shell casings, according to investigators, and everything about what this person believed indicates that he was radicalized and he was absolutely not MAGA. So, when Jasmine Crockett implies that, it's the right radicalizing everyone, reality that we're all living and then the receipts that we can pull says otherwise. Violent people across identities are targeting Christians and conservatives, and they aren't taking cues from church sermons or constitutionalists. That is not happening. They are absolutely marinating in a culture that excuses escalation when the target is someone that it hates. That's a fact. And this is why I brought the receipts. Now, she's not going to respond to these receipts, but these receipts are important because words matter, targets matter, and victims deserve more than the ideological spin and propaganda that is coming from Washington, i.e. by way of these politicians and political pundits. So now what we need to do is deconstruct this entire narrative. Deconstructing the narrative is important. First one, no Democrat ever called for violence is something that Jasmine Crockett just said. That is a flat out lie. You just watch the clips. At minimum, we have a pattern that can be tracked of elected Democrats and prominent leftists deploying violent imagery and confrontation cues. They are telling you exactly what they want done. It's almost like they're putting a battery in these people's back. Even when they're using it metaphorically, it normalizes escalation. The culture shifts when leaders wink at the mob and basically say, y'all go ahead and keep the party going. Okay? The other claim that she made is that HBCUs have had 0 school shootings. That's just patently not true. It's false. First of all, there has been a high-profile campus mass shooting up in Baltimore at I can't remember the name of the school, but to bring up that HBCUs have not had a high-profile mass shooting, okay, even if we're only going to count that one, why would you disregard the fact that violence from the left is absolutely happening in Black communities, not necessarily because the left is inciting Blacks to kill each other, but they don't have to. All they have to do is stand back and watch it happen and not enact law and order and then create the necessary conditions for crime and law and order, or the lack thereof, to flourish. That's all you really have to do. Okay, safety requires telling the truth, not spouting out talking points. So she may have thought, oh, it's a flex that we haven't had a mass shooting on an HBCU campus, but it doesn't remove or erase the responsibility or the truth claim that these mass shootings on the white campuses are being done by radical, rabid leftists. That's your side, sis. Okay, keep it a buck. She also made a claim that guns and loopholes and registries are part of the reason why we're seeing an uptick in gun violence. First of all, you might think that saying closing the gun show loophole sounds good, but federal rules were already tightened to require background checks from many shows and online sellers. That's already in place. So the gap has already been narrowed as it relates to this. That is not the same as universal background checks, and private transfers still exist in a lot of places. Also, National Gun Registry, that is barred from federal law because of the Second Amendment. So if you want to change the law, say so, but don't imply that it already exists. That is not true. Then she starts talking about ICE and custody deaths. My thing is, okay, if detention deaths are rising, fix it, but fix it transparently. Don't use extreme imagery to smear lawful enforcement that's happening across the board. Precision matters. And so here's the standard. Biblically speaking, when the scriptures say that life and death are in the power of the tongue, it's asserting that the words that we say set the tone. Leaders set tone. My standard is simple. We don't celebrate violence, but we also don't excuse it when our side does it. If you think that you're preaching peace on Sunday and then you tweet unrest in the streets on Monday, you are feeding chaos. You are feeding chaos for clout and not realizing the implications of your words carry weight. America does not need more chaos. We need people with courage and character willing to face their own side and call it out when it's causing problems. So here's what we won't do, okay? We're not going to let these individuals decide which violent rhetoric counts, okay? We're not going to allow them to sanitize one party's provocations while magnifying the others. And we're not going to sit back and pretend that any campus is magically insulated from broken policies and broken culture. The truth sets us free. And so since we, the people, are so much more stronger than they, the government, we are the ones who are speaking out and calling out the fact that the claim that the left does not incite violence is patently false and it's a lie. So if you are on the left, if you truly claim that you want to de-escalate things, you need to start with your side of the street first, okay? You need to condemn violent imagery from your own party and your own side with the same energy that you use on opponents, and don't in one breath say, well, it was wrong that Charlie Kirk died, but when you say racist and white supremacist things, there it is right there. It's the miscategorization of people with claims that can be easily disproven they're inciting violence. And to my audience, I just want to tell you guys, do not let your anger foment on the inside of you to where it causes you to react in an ungodly way. Okay, we need to continue to, yes, engage boldly, but keep your hands clean and your heart steady. And your job is to defend yourself when necessary, because we ain't no punks, but we don't incite violence. And honestly, that's not even happening on this side. But as I close, I wanted to do this video, one, because it was just too easy not to make. It was just too easy because the evidence of the vitriolic rhetoric, be it hyperbolic or not, is plentiful and it's very easy to find. And so I wanted to cover it, one, to take Jazzy C up on her challenge to send her the clip of all of the incidences on the left of the Democrats inciting violence and using hateful rhetoric that incites violence. Here you go. So now you know your challenge has been granted. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Do you believe that the montage of videos that I showed are those one-offs? Right? Because that seemed like a whole lot of politicians on the left parroting the same vitriolic hyperbole that, when spoken to a generation that truly believes that the other side is the enemy, it forces them to want to do something about it. So if this video kind of just cut straight to the chase and help you sort the noise from the news, I want you to like this video. Be sure to comment, subscribe, share it with 3 friends who need a little bit of clarity. And please drop your thoughts down in the description box below. And if you're interested in supporting this platform and the work that I do here, please follow me on Patreon and X and Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok. I'm on all social media platforms, particularly on Patreon. I want to build my own little community over there. But until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.